2023 is officially over, and now in 2024, let's reflect on this past year and discuss some of the trends in the watch industry, from the good, bad, and keep an eye on categories, as well as what you, the community, thinks. Let's first start positive with the good stuff. Here's 6 great trends in the watch industry. Number 1 is industry initiatives against watch theft. Now, over the past few years, we've seen a rise of watch theft. People literally stealing watches off of a couple's wrist on vacation in broad daylight, or moped gangs. And it can be scary to wear a luxury watch these days. But I do want to praise our industry for doing something about it. Audemars Piguet launched AP coverage service in April 2023, and they will cover the value of your AP watch if it is lost, stolen, or damaged during theft for free. Now, it is separate from the warranty and needs to be activated separately and is eligible for brand new watches purchased at AP boutiques or houses. Keep in mind, AP still holds the right to approve or deny your claim, but it is great to see AP is aware of the attention that comes when you wear their watches, and honestly, they have no obligation to provide you basic free insurance on watches that they sold, but the fact that they will do it for 2 years for free is fantastic. There's a lot of specific details you can read on their website, and it's already been updated with new information since they launched. Because Audemars Piguet is an industry leader, I hope to see more watch manufacturers doing their own version of what AP coverage service is, and let's see how this continues to develop in 2024. On the other hand, Enquirus is another company tackling watch theft, but from the information side. Enquirus is a Richemont-owned company who owns Cartier, Vacheron Constantin, JLC, and more, and basically when your watch is stolen or lost, instead of taking a photo with your phone, posting it on Instagram, and hoping the algorithm gods somehow make your post viral, just report your stolen watch on Enquirus for free. It's basically a database dedicated to stolen watches that can be accessed by several policing agencies around the world, so that way, if the police find a safe full of merchandise and yours happens to be there, they can contact you. Now, I know some people may be skeptical and think the chances of getting their watch back is very slim and that they should just rely on insurance, but I still want to praise and look at the big picture that the industry is creating new jobs and agencies dedicated to this problem, and that's great. Number 2, watch fairs, events, and community building. Now, since 2018 to now, we've seen the fall of Baselworld, the end of SIHH, the birth and end of Swatch Group's Time to Move, Omega Days, and now the launch of Watches and Wonders, which is basically SIHH in the same venue, but with brands that used to go to Baselworld. Watch fairs are great for everyone, industry professionals, retailers, and clients to connect, see new product, and get a pulse on the watch industry for the next year. It brings collectors and enthusiast community together to enjoy something we all love. Now, some brands go the extra step and do localized watch fairs, giving customers more direct access to the product. This is especially true for brands like Omega, who are not at Watches and Wonders, but now have more marketing budget to do localized events, such as Planet Omega that happened here in New York City in October. There's other events I didn't mention, and finally, we've also seen more enthusiast-led communities arise, and these are individuals or a collective of passionate horology lovers who don't consider themselves a watch collecting club, but more of a gathering. This includes communities built by Complecto, Wrist Check Pod, Watch Crunch, Deluxe, and even the tight-knit community of Watches of Espionage on Instagram. These groups are important and help the world of watches more accessible and inclusive to everyone without the snobbery. I'm sure there's many more I didn't mention, but please feel free to shout them out in the comments below. Number 3, another great thing is rolling watch releases. Now, over the past few years, we've seen more brands doing a rolling watch release. And what this means is back in the day during Baselworld, brands used to launch something like 100 new SKUs per year. Not only did this lead to overproduction, but it would be hard for brands to actually stick to the timeline that they promised. So lately, we've been seeing brands who do go to the watch fair release a more thoughtful assortment of like 10 to 20 pieces, which allows people to digest a new product more, spend more time on each item, and keep in mind, during Watches and Wonders, every watch brand is fighting for attention on top of every watch media or publication. Here's a good example. This year at Watches and Wonders, Rolex launched several new watches, such as the new GMT Master 2 in yellow gold, which I think is awesome, but they still kept the new Cosmograph Daytona Le Mans to launch towards July after the fair. This keeps excitement on new brand releases. And another example, Omega kept a small focus of pieces this year, the Summer Blue Seamasters, something that's easy to understand and already part of a successful collection. And Grand Seiko is known to do this for years already. They would launch pieces at the fair, and then like every other month until December, they would release pieces here and there, and it just keeps people's attention better and the delivery times are more accurate, so people are less likely to give up waiting on something and purchase something else. Number 4 is sustainable practices in the industry. This is one of those good for the planet and you may not even recognize the impact, but this could come in the form of reducing packaging size on watch boxes, since most people end up using a watch case anyways. For example, branded watch boxes are only good if they can have a separate compartment to have a smaller carrying case like Omega or Zenith does. Otherwise, I think most people just keep the watch box somewhere in case they sell the watch in the future. Another example is reducing paper production. Longines stopped sending these thick paper watch manuals that had every language and every watch movement, and instead now provides a single card-sized paper with a QR code which will direct you to their website where they've archived all the manual instructions. Much cleaner, much simpler. Seiko also does this as well, and overall I think it's a great use of reducing so much paper waste. I hope that brands who can save a bit on packaging or paper can put that money back into the quality of their products. And also, some brands have reduced or stopped selling alligator leather straps and moved to more vegan leather. For example, some of Cartier's new leather strap options have used vegan leather or even recycled materials. Good for the planet, less waste. Just keep it up. Number 5 is smaller case sizes. It's not a stretch to say it's easy to make a big and thick watch. I mean, just like at Invicta. Sure, having a bunch of functions in a watch is cool, but not when it's 17 millimeters thick and unwearable on the majority of people. Of course, there will always be one-off projects that need a larger size, like Omega's Seamaster Ultra Deep or Rolex's Sea Dweller, but I'm just happy that we saw the continuation of smaller case sizes. Some notable mentions from 2023, Tudor's Black Bay 54 and 37 millimeter, Seiko's SJE 093 and 38 millimeter, and even Longines' new Legend Diver in 39 millimeter. Tissot PRX 35 millimeter automatic also comes to mind, as well as Vacheron Constantin's Overseas 35mm. To me, the most respected examples are high complicated watches that are super proportional. Just look at Patek Philippe's new 5261 Aquanaut, now in a 39.9mm case and still has an annual calendar. That's like Goldilocks size. And finally, one of the last best trends of 2023 is waitlisted solutions. Now look, nobody loves waitlists. It can be frustrating when you save enough money and you're finally ready to buy your Grail watch, but then you're suddenly placed on an indefinite waitlist. Now, I'm sorry to say, but waitlists are not going away because it's been very profitable to watch brands that do it successfully, and they don't even call it the waitlist strategy. They call it the scarcity model, meaning brands out there are fabricating the scarcity, and it's not really a big surprise to us. So I do want to make a special shout out to those companies who have real scarcity from popularity and demand and still go above and beyond to make people happy. Some notable mentions from 2023, MB&F's Mad 1 Green Lucky Clover. So in the previous years, in order to buy MB&F's more affordable Mad 1 watch in red, you either had to be a friend or partner of the brand or entered a raffle. But after MB&F discontinued the Mad 1 red, they introduced the Mad 1 Green through another raffle. However, MB&F saw how many people were upset and had lost 3 times, 2 times in the red, 1 time in green. So they decided to do something special and they created a new version called the Mad 1 Green Lucky Clover. And instead of being a raffle, if you had lost 3 times and were that unlucky, you were now selected to purchase this special edition. I mean, everyone was really happy about this, from people who were finally getting their first Mad 1s, and even the people who already won in previous raffles were just happy to see other people get the chance. Another company that did great with this year was Spinnaker's 50 Phantoms, a collaboration with Second. This was a fun play on Blancpain's 50 Fathoms, but instead, Spinnaker put 50 little ghosts on the dial, had a no-feet depth rating, and tons of lume. Due to the popularity and entry pricing, Spinnaker sold out very quickly, and according to this Instagram post, there were some issues with notification emails, glitches, and ultimately people felt unfairly treated, even if it wasn't Spinnaker's entire fault. So to make up for this, Spinnaker and Second created a new variant of the 50 Phantoms, now in blue, and it's not a limited edition, which opened the window for a lot more people to get the watch, and it was a great direct-to-consumer solution. At the end of the day, everyone knows the feeling of waitlist and missing out on buying something, and it's so rare to see companies make a new solution for their customers, so we should continue to praise this behavior and hope brands learn from these examples. And if you're looking to add a watch into your collection, please consider checking out my store, Carrot & Co. We're an authorized retailer for over 20 watch and jewelry brands located in Flushing, Queens, New York, so you can go to our website or make a visit on your next soup dumpling, hot pot, dim sum food tour in Flushing. Alright, that's all my positive and good stuff, so now let's talk about the bad, the negatives. Here's 4 bad trends in the watch industry. Number 1, price increases. Many brands increased their retail prices in 2023. This was most likely a decision based on their high-performing sales from 2021 and 2022, as well as increasing manufacturing costs. But in 2023, we have inflation, interest rates are high, and watch prices are increasing. Therefore, the entire watch industry has felt a downtick in demand and sales. The only time people are understanding of a price increase is if there is a noticeable increase in craftsmanship, quality, or function, or like a whole new collection. But most manufacturers were just increasing prices to cover their costs and to make all their international pricing in the USA, Europe, and Asia similar. This was felt across the entire industry, and while manufacturers have to maintain their costs, increasing their prices 1 or 2 times in a year when companies are having massive layoffs and inflation and people can barely afford to buy eggs or buy a house, it just did not work in their favor. So I hope price increases stop and just maintain, okay? Just stop, please. Number 2, another bad trend that started from Watches and Wonders is boutique-only situations. Now, I might be biased, but I prefer multi-brand shopping environments, and that's regardless if it's outdoor product such as REI to camera gear, B&H, or even watches, Carrotco.com. Look, when I buy stuff, I want to compare it with another option from a similar price point, and then choose my final decision that way. But some watch brands want to cut off their retailers to go full boutique only model, such as what Audemars Piguet did years ago. For watch companies, it's attractive to go boutique only because 1, marketing. It makes their brand and their products look strong. Imagine having a flagship store in a major city. Now you look like you're really serious. Number 2, in a boutique environment, they're controlling everything. They don't have you compare their products to other competitors. And, for the most part, the people who work there are being paid to tell you that this watch is the best. They're not giving you a comparison to other things. And number 3, manufacturers get to make more money. They made the product and now they're getting to sell it. But if a watch brand cannot control their supply, and if their demand is not high, then it's a very risky move to go boutique only because they'll be sitting on a bunch of product, which you'll end up seeing being dumped on the market. Because if a brand cannot control their supply and demand, there's no way they can afford expensive commercial rent on Fifth Avenue or Madison Avenue in New York City or any major city. It might look good, but you're just bleeding money. This is also why brands create so many boutique exclusive models to get people to buy directly from their boutique, or when they allocate 90% of a worldwide limited edition to their boutique and the remaining 10% for multi-brand retailers to fight over. In 2023, some brands got ahead of themselves and it's come back to kicking them in the butt. They thought they can cut out the multi-brand retailers or force them to open boutiques, but with constant price increases and inflation, sales have been slow, and now some of these brands are rethinking their decisions, thankfully. And going boutique only is bad for customers. Imagine you have a 10-year spending history with a retailer in a smaller city and you get allocations on a fair schedule. Now, if this brand goes boutique only, you basically have to start over, and maybe this new boutique is not even near you anymore. And some of these brands will just treat you like a number on a spreadsheet. Meanwhile, there are watch companies out there that could go full boutique only, but they don't do it because they realize their success comes from both retailer and boutique distribution. And I highly praise and applaud these brands for having respect for their partners, and it makes me want to help these brands sell more because they treat us like we're part of their network. You know which brands you are. Number 3, another bad trend is a continuing one from the last few years. It's limited editions. I think I speak for many of the watch enthusiasts when I say we're kind of tired of seeing so many collabs and limited editions. Limited editions should be one-off projects that happen every once in a while. It's a strategy from brands to create scarcity, and it works best with new customers. But if your brand keeps producing too many limited editions, you're going to alienate your existing customer base because they can see right through that tactic. When it's done correctly, it can really boost a brand and maintain interest. A good example that I liked was 2022's Vacheron Constantin Overseas Everest Edition in both dual time and chronograph, which was based on Corey Richards' overseas dual time that he wore on his expedition to Everest. Only a few hundred pieces were produced worldwide, and this year in 2024, Vacheron didn't do another limited edition, even though they can clearly see there is a demand, and at least this one feels a little bit more earned. Some bad examples of overproduction of limited editions, we can talk about Swatch with the Moon Swatch and the Scuba, along with any brands that just are constantly pumping out limited editions every year for random seasons and not really making big improvements that just make limited editions not feel worth it. When everything is a limited edition, nothing really is. So in general, anything with excessive marketing hype without product innovations or improvement usually result in short-lived excitement and in the long run, disappointment among enthusiasts. And finally, one of the worst trends that's continuing is the rise of counterfeits and scams. Buying watches online is easier than ever, but now counterfeits and fakes are getting better and better. Every time someone makes a real versus fake Rolex video on YouTube, it gets hundreds of thousands of views easily because we all know that we have to be more careful with buying, and these fakes are getting better. Obviously, the saying trust a seller can go a long way, but keep in mind this can also happen to reputable auction houses and dealers. Because fakes are getting better, dealers, companies, and customers have to be more vigilant to know what's real and what's not. Counterfeits have always been around, and every time you see a fake, it's basically at its worst form, and just realize that it can only get better. So wherever you decide to shop and spend your money, just make sure to do your research and also buy the seller as well. Now that we've gone through the good and the bad, here's one category where I can't really decide if it's a good or bad, but keep an eye on Rolex starting to certify pre-owned and also purchasing Bucherer. This was one of the biggest news in the industry in 2023 because Bucherer, who owns Tourneau in the USA, is a major watch retailer with over 100 locations worldwide. Now, Rolex has also established certified pre-owned in the past year, meaning that they get to set the prices for what their watches should go for in the market. So now they have an extra hand in primary sales and also secondary sales. Rolex's decision also influenced companies like Watchbox to now refocus on primary and secondary by creating a new company, the 1916 company. And for dealers who are not an official partner to Rolex's certified pre-owned, they can use the official CPO price list and just sell a little bit below that price, which helps them sell their stock. I think that's still a short-term thing, but this entire category is just something to keep an eye on as it develops, as it will definitely have an impact on where or how you buy watches in the future. Now, to make this entire conversation inclusive, I also asked people in my Instagram story to tell me their good and bad trends of 2023, and for the most part, we had the same trends, but here's some of them that I didn't mention in my list. So for the good ones, people are happy that non-Swiss brands such as Japanese, German, and British companies are getting more attention. They also think that micro brands giving enthusiasts what they want, such as micro adjustments and better sizing and movements, is great, and the fact that there were more affordable GMT watches from the likes of Seiko, Tudor, and Longines have been really great. Now, some bad industry trends that people are tired of is integrated sport watches that look like old Genta designs. People are also tired of Tiffany or turquoise colored dials. There's already too many of them, and it's kind of easy to do now to make things hype and popular. People are also tired of limited editions, swatch collaborations. I think people are just tired of talking about those in general. Price increases like mentioned earlier, but people are also tired of brands moving up market. So not just price increasing, but changing their category entirely. So for this, brands moving up market is a trend I see mostly in watches that are under $1,000 because they have to stay afloat against the Apple Watch and wearable tech. The demand for mechanical or traditional watches is still healthy, but there is a very noticeable difference for watches that are priced under $1,000. Just think about it. You definitely see a lot more people wearing Apple Watches than you do seeing people wearing watches under $1,000. So in general, for 2024 this year, I hope the good trends continue, and I hope the bad trends diminish or completely pivot. But what do you think about 2024? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks so much for watching. It's been a minute, and I'll see you soon. Bye.